the Daily Caller also did this too. We were stunned to find out in the New York Post that they've done some research into some of these WikiLeaks, some of these emails that have come in. It turns out the housekeeper, the valued housekeeper working in the Washington home of the Clintons, had access to classified material, including the president's daily brief, coming in on a secured fax, coming in on secured email. She was printing it out for years.
So what's the point of having a secured fax or email if your housekeeper with no clearance at all is taking it? I mean, the beauty of these emails is they confirm every pre-existing suspicion you ever had. It's all true. People are the way you suspected they were. In this case, we learned Hillary Clinton, I mean, it's like a parody. She wasn't just reckless, she was like insanely reckless. She had her housekeeper analyst, but did she have her gardener write bilateral agreements? I mean, she's basically outsourcing the job to her servants.
Look, she trusts this woman, Maria Santos, to clean the house and take care of the house. So why can't she trust her with just some classified documents?
Well, she could if it were her credit card number, her birth certificate, things that belong to her. This material does not belong to the Secretary of State or any federal employee. It belongs to the people of the United States of America. It's public property. And so her to mistreat that and treat it as cavalierly as she did reveals her attitude. So I just don't care.
Can we put those two pictures again? I love these two pictures because the housekeeper is like, no, the two pictures of Hillary next to the housekeeper. It's like, she's like, don't give me that look. And Hillary's like, I'm going to give you this look. And you don't print out these emails.
Exactly, but look what the emails also contain, Ainsley. Stuff about a conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu, Iran talking points, things about Libya, questions that have to be answered.
It's sensitive and classified.
What you're seeing is what happens when someone has been rich and powerful for 40 years. I mean, power does corrupt. And by the way, she's not the only one corrupted by it. Trust me. We don't want to be too partisan. There are a lot of Republicans with bad attitudes in Washington because they've been there too long. But this is exactly what it looks like when you pull the covers back.
Okay, so that was the news on the same day that James Comey came out and said, we have not changed our conclusions regarding whether or not we would suggest charges against Hillary Clinton. Now, there's also the same day that it was revealed in a WikiLeaks dump that apparently CNN, where you used to work, asked the DNC, hey, we're going to do interviews with Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. Could you guys help us out writing some questions?
Could you help us
You
out?
were at CNN for a while.
Yeah, a long time. This is not a close call. This is a bright line, and they sped across it, and how they respond makes a great deal of difference. Are they going to explain how this happened, why it happened? Are they really going to report this out? They've got a guy over there, their media critic is always jumping up and down about it. Everyone else is immoral. Brian Stelter, or whatever his name is. He should be on this. We should know the answer, but they're not going to, of course. Here's the net effect of this. We're going to see a massive realignment starting Wednesday in Washington, in America, in the parties, but also in the media. These guys have discredited themselves so much. I mean, they should just reorganize as a super PAC at this point, because that's basically what they've been doing.
This was in that batch of emails that eventually led to the firing or stepping down of Deputy Wasserman Schultz. It was on April 25th, and this is what the email said specifically. Wolf Blitzer is interviewing Trump on Tuesday ahead of his foreign policy address on Wednesday. Please send me thoughts by 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. So that email was sent out to other staffers within the DNC.
It's unbelievable. So clearly the person who sent this email was in touch with either the anchor at CNN or some of the producers who had asked, like, what should we ask Donald Trump? But imagine yourself as a journalist. I mean, and by the way, I always have given my opinion every job I've ever had. I would never email a political party and say, I'm interviewing one of your opponents, tell me what to say. And even though I'm allowed to do whatever I want, because I'm an opinion guy, I would never do that. That's corrupt. And here, journalists, self-described journalists are doing that.
Well, over at the Washington Post, Dana Milbank, who is a columnist, he apparently contacted the DNC and asked for help on research. Give us a list of the craziest, most outrageous things that Donald Trump has done.
Not surprising if you read the column, but still shocking. I mean, look,
it's stunning.
Because even if you have strong political opinions, you shouldn't be carrying water for a politician or a political party. That makes you a toady. You are not independent. You are a throne sniffer. You're a running dog. You're a lackey of these people. I'm sorry to sound like a North Korean, propaganda writer, but that's what they are, actually.
Wolf Blitzer does not need help on questions. He can ask a million questions, or Jake Tapper was really.
And let me just say about Tapper and Blitzer. I mean, I work with both of them, and I like them, and we don't know that they were directly involved in this. I mean, there are many layers here. Could have been some producer or whatever. But we need to know the truth about it. And CNN's a news organization. They have the ability to get to the bottom of this story, and let's see if they do. They actually have an obligation to.
It's not up to the journalist. It's not up to the journalists to save this election. They need to be fair and balanced. They need to tell both sides of the story. But let's move on. Donald Trump, 24 hours. What's your advice for him?
I'm not sure you can give advice, at this stage.
Well, then what's going to happen?
I literally have no idea. I will say this, and I don't know what's going to happen, and clearly Hillary's up in the polls. I mean, that's obvious. I know this for a fact. The Hillary people have numbers that show, their internal polling shows that she is up by a comfortable margin in Pennsylvania, and yet they're redeploying all of their forces to that state. I don't think Trump has been ahead in a single poll in the last 6 months. It's the last 6 presidential elections, it's gone Democrat. Why are they doing that? Why are they bringing in both Obamas, both Clintons, Bruce Springsteen?
Sure.
Because they don't believe their own numbers. That's
Well,
why.
what about the freak out regarding...
They're going back to Philadelphia.
What about the freak out over Michigan? I mean, and Minnesota. Trump went to Michigan. I think later today he's going to go. Yesterday he went to Minnesota, and suddenly they're going, why would he go there? We never went there because their internal polling, Trump's did, show that they were 3 points behind.
But the Hillary people don't trust their own because it's based on turnout models that might not be valid. Here's the bottom line. The party's going to look totally different on Wednesday. Totally. The Republican Party is going to have different voters than the ones we assumed it had, and the same with the Democratic Party.
Significant that Paul Ryan's saying vote Trump, and he says I'll appear with him in the last couple of days. Does it matter?
I think it matters a lot. I think it's really significant. I mean, the symbolism matters, okay? The Speaker of the House has swung behind the candidate of his party. I think it's a big deal.
Tucker, just backing up to something you said a moment ago regarding turnout, are you saying it's hard to engage Trump's turnout because these are people who there is no metric for at this point?
They're trying to tie Trump to the Ku Klux Klan. They're playing the hardest racial politics I've ever seen in a presidential race right now, and there's only one reason they're doing it, because they're worried that black voters aren't excited about Hillary Clinton. That's a huge, huge deal for them. That's why they're going this low, because they feel they have no choice.
Right. Even SNL helped them out.
But they're totally desperate. I mean, imagine the wreckage they're creating in saying something like that. It's so divisive. That's truly divisive. Right. Trump can be divisive for sure, but that's really divisive.
And when you were labeled like that, then who's going to? If somebody calls you on the phone,
scares the hell out of
you're
people.
Say
It divides Americans and makes them hate each other.
Well, it's a KKK newspaper that was endorsing him and saying "Make America Great Again," and they're saying that because they support Donald Trump, that he supports them,
well,
which
here's
is not at all
the KKK is one of our sort of ugliest historic relics, but it's not a force in American life in 2016.
It's not a Republican force either.
It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous, and they're doing it with a straight face because they think they have to. It's disgusting.
Well, Senator Byrd, who was a recruiter for the KKK, Hillary went on stage when she was supporting his campaign and said he was her mentor.
Well,
it'll
all be over about 48 hours from right now. We're going to be sitting on the couch talking about who won.
Well, we know it'll be over, but we might not know who won.
I'm hoping we know.
I hope we do too.
Heather, what do you think? Are you ready for it to be over?
I think a lot of folks are ready for it to be over, certainly. Good morning.